It's 11 o'clock. What's 11:01? This is so weird. It's not 10 o'clock. I feel different. You feel different. This is not normal. We normally do this from 10 to 11. Today is from 11 to 12 because I had a meeting about stuff and things. My name is Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every day. But today is special. As Zombie says, today is FriYay. Oh, yes. FriYay. What is it? The 27th of October. It's a special day because tomorrow will be Saturday. That is the reason we celebrate FriYay. Thursday is technically FriYay Jr., but, we try and keep it simple here. FriYay. Stephen Bell was the first one in the chat with a good morning, Sean. He was here early. And then right on the money, we had greetings and salutations from Michaela Draconis, who says, you could have left today's show at 10 a.m. They canceled today's meeting. They canceled yours meeting? They canceled your meeting, but my meeting was on from 9:30 onward. So, no, I had to keep it. I had a meeting. It was a legit meeting. Let's see what's going on. We got Happy FriYay from it says host, and it has no name there, and that is my wife, Leo wife. And then we have everyone's going trademark with these interesting intros. We got the greetings and salutations, and Chase has adopted good morrow. Very good. We have good morning from Radek. And then we have, of course, Michael, who says he's got no special fancy trademarked name. No, but Michael, you have you. You are you. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to put myself here. I'm going to assist with the as much as I can. I'm going to try. I may have to mute people or do some moderating of my own. So I'm watching myself on another device. Anyway, if you have questions, we've got answers. That's how this goes. It's a show for you to answer your traffic and police questions. That's why it's called Ask a Traffic Cop. I'm a traffic cop. I work for the Toronto Police Service of Traffic Safety Programs, which is an itty-bitty office. This is it. Inside of Traffic Services, the citywide unit that handles all investigations, enforcement, and such of the Highway Traffic Act. And basically anything that moves, we deal with it. Investigations of all kinds, a lot of specialties in our building, a lot of big brain people. Yes, it's awesome. Best place to work on the planet. Ask a Traffic Cop is currently broadcasting on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, and the platform formerly known as Twitter, now referred to as X. And you can ask questions from anywhere except X, because X doesn't interface with Restream, which is the product that we use to share this on so many different platforms. If you would like to ask us questions and you're on X, jump over to YouTube by going to youtube.trafficcop.ca or just go to trafficcop.ca, where we have listings of not only wonderful, magical, amazing links that you can use that take you to useful things, like for how to renew your driver's license and health card and where to report a collision and how to report a collision and how do you get a license. All of these things are answered by following links that are found there on trafficcop.ca. But if you go to youtube.trafficcop.ca, it's just a quick, direct take you to our YouTube page. We try and make it as easy as possible. After these shows, I download them and I rebroadcast them up in podcast format. That's why I had created this magical thing that says replay podcast. You can replay this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and a whole bunch of others. Although Google is going away, there are other podcasting platforms available. Hopefully, your favorite one is available, and that allows you to listen while you drive without burning data, and you still get to catch up, even if you don't get to watch us or participate live. Of course, the best experience is when you can ask your questions, but chances are somebody else has a question and they ask for you, and just hanging out allows you to eventually catch your question, because even a broken clock is right twice a day. So eventually your questions will be asked by someone else. Anyway, really hope you have plans for a magical weekend. If you don't have plans yet, what are you waiting for? There's lots of things to do in this magical city and in places across the globe. But if you have great plans, let me know. I'd love to know if there's something good to do. Then I want to do it too. If you have someone wants to see my badge. Hey, happy birthday to Chelsea's son, who's turning 3 this weekend. That's exciting. Is there a particular car or traffic question that Chelsea's son has? But a happy birthday to him. Somebody asked if they could see my badge. There's a wooden version of it. But yeah, our badges Our badges look like this. That's a badge. It is. You know what? I don't show it to anybody very often. It doesn't matter. But it is the thing that I wanted the most and got it. Now it sits in my wallet. It adds weight to my wallet. Okay. Before I get into too much else, what do we have here? Oh. Okay, so we did it was Michael L. who wanted to see the badge. So now you've seen the badge. Okay. Questions about cats and dogs. Questions about watching yourself like that reminds Michael H. of scene in Spaceballs. But you see, I'm watching myself. It's weird. Let's see. Oh, hi, Emma. How you doing? Barter. Neha, how you doing? Oh, cousin's wedding. Very cool. Okay. With camera. I got to watch Spaceballs this weekend now. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. We've got questions about construction zones. Doug Brandon wants to know about driving with animal on your lap. School bus stop to pick up kids in the emergency vehicle. Oh, question. Okay, we'll talk about that. Emergency vehicles and that. Are you only issued one badge? Okay, we'll talk about that. Before I get too deep into stuff and things, I want to quickly discuss Vision Zero enforcement team. Those are those magical officers who are trying to change driver behavior one ticket at a time. Today, they're doing that in 11 Division and 41 Division. And if you don't know where that is, let me break it down for you. It's neighborhoods like Junction, Weston, High Park, Ronsonsville, you know, Roncy, Dorset Park, Kennedy Park, Birchcliff, Cliffside, neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play. And what are they doing there? What are they focusing on? They're focusing on the big four. They're looking for speeders, aggressive drivers, distracted drivers, impaired drivers, drivers who are choosing to put others at risk for their own selfish gains, whether it be because they're just so entitled that they want to speed and get there first, or they can't figure out when to leave the house on time. Whatever the motivation is to break the law, they are wrong. They need to have some correction. That's what Vision Zero enforcement does, because we're trying to protect vulnerable road users and all road users. Doesn't matter if you walk, ride, or drive. This stuff applies to you. Yeah, it's true. Anyway, I hear arguments defending, well, you know, speeding is arbitrary, saving gas 50 years ago. No, the law is the law is the law. Follow the law. You want to change the law, talk to your local government, challenge them that they are wrong, show them some information to support your arguments. Otherwise, shh, and follow the law. Okay. Questions about driving behind a cop and they flash their lights. What does it mean? I don't know. We'll talk about it. Aftermarket heads-up display. Ooh. Okay, we'll talk about that. What's the coolest thing about a police car? What is it? Oh, okay. Well, okay, police car stuff. Let's get into the questions that are currently in the queue, and then we'll go from there. Nice. All right. First one is, what would be the charge for driving with your pet, dog or cat, in your lap? Oddly enough, this question came from TikTok, and then Doug asked, and it may have been Doug in TikTok, but is it against the law to drive with a pet animal on your lap? So two people, same question, or same person, two ways of asking it. Moving on, the answer is yes, it's illegal. It's either careless driving or drive while crowded, either one making it not legal. And aside from the legality, it's a distraction. You're not focused on the road. It's careless because you are doing stuff other than focusing on driving. The animal can also obstruct your ability to safely operate the motor vehicle, and in the event of collision, you're going to squish Fluffy dead. The airbag's going to deploy at about 200 kilometers an hour, or just the weight of your body pressing against the steering wheel, if you make it that far, will hurt the animal. You will be hurt. They will be likely finished, and that's if you're doing all right. There's other potential issues, but either way you cut it, one of two charges, happily would lay them any day of the week. Your animal or pet should be in the back seat, tethered or crated for their safety and yours. That's it. What do we got here? If a construction worker is directing traffic, can we get in trouble for listening to them? Well, yes. So it depends on what we're talking about. There are flag persons, people with flags. Slow down, stop. Those are the two functions that they can provide. Directing traffic, waving their arms, not their job. They cannot do that. We have traffic wardens. They are special constables. They are there for that purpose. Construction workers are not. They have a flag. It says slow or stop. That is it. And they cannot direct you to run a stop sign, and they cannot direct you to go through a red light. That is not something they are legally permitted to do. Have I seen them do it? Yeah. Now, for listening to them. So if they're telling you to do something illegal and you do something illegal, Is it illegal? Yeah. They told you to do it and you did it, and neither of you have the authority to do it. So yeah, you can get in trouble for breaking the law because it doesn't change. You still broke the law. School bus stop for pickup kids. Okay, here we go. School bus stop to pick up kids, and there's an emergency vehicle. Does he get a pass? So the lights are flashing. The stop sign is out. They have their emergency equipment on. They're trying to go to an emergency. Are they legally permitted to go past the school bus? No, they're not. Is it possible that they might? Yes, they might. Could they get in big trouble for doing it? Yes, they could. And is there a reason? Could they articulate why they did it? Yeah, but it doesn't make it legal. There's no exemption on the books that allows them to go through. What we would ask is that a school bus operator that is currently, having people get off the bus would be to stop what they're doing, put the kids back on the bus, deactivate the lights, and lawfully allow the police officer, emergency services worker, fire, ambulance, what have you, get through so they can go and save the day in their own special way. Where they're going is a priority, but the lives of the children is also obviously a priority. So I hope I've given that a very clear message. There's no exemption for police. They may choose to break that rule depending on the urgency. That's on them. If they do something and they get in trouble, they're in trouble. But hopefully the bus driver would act quickly and disable that equipment so they can do it without breaking the rules. But it depends on the call. If we're going to a collision, we'll wait 30 seconds. Hopefully, again, bus driver does the right thing. Someone's got a gun. Chances are we're going to break that rule and deal with the consequences. So be aware. Don't meander across the street is what I'm trying to say. Like, don't assume that everyone's stopping in that situation. Make sure it's safe before you cross the street, even if the lights are flashing. And if they have sirens, that's a pretty good indicator. Just saying. Are you issued only one badge? We are issued a hat badge for our forage cap, and we are issued a wallet badge. Those are the two badges that were issued. They have different types of backings for different purposes. One goes in a wallet, one has a screw that goes through a hole in the hat. And those would be the two badges that were issued. Now, if you're promoted and get a different rank, you get different badges. Yeah. So this question came in earlier, and the question was, if you're driving behind a cop car and they flash their lights, what does that mean? Well, frankly, it could mean anything. It depends on what the officer is trying to say. Probably like, back off, why are you tailgating me, might be a reason. But I don't know, because, when you honk your horn, what does it mean? It could mean anything. It could mean hello. It could mean goodbye. It could be, hurry up, I'm waiting for you on the driveway. Why are you taking so long? It could also mean, hey, your lights are off. Hey, your tailpipe's on fire. It could mean anything. But I don't know what this particular officer was trying to say to you. And I now wish I did, because I'm very curious what was going on. Maybe you can give me some context. Maybe they were flashing the person in front of them. Who knows? Who knows? Let's see here. Coolest thing about the police car was a question asked. I thought I flagged it, but I'll flag it now. Law about children in the back or a recommendation. We'll talk about that. It's a video I put out yesterday. Are you able to turn left at a red light if it's a one-way street? Okay, we'll talk about that. Chase wants to know if you have to be approved to be a crossing guard, or can anyone with a stop sign do it? Okay. Can I go up to a police officer and say hi? That's an easy one. And we'll talk about it in a second. What is the maximum limit in yellow line? Not sure what you're asking, but we'll talk about it. Let's see here. If you weren't a police officer, what would you do? I'm paraphrasing because it's longer. Okay. If people are turning, who has the right of way? We'll talk about that. Oh, do you have to write a report every time you pull out your firearm? Let's talk about all of these questions. And now, let's start with the question that Chase posed earlier. Would an aftermarket heads-up display of your speedometer on the windshield be legal? I see no reason why it wouldn't. There's no special authority for a store-bought aftermarket versus a OEM one. As long as it was accurate, and it wasn't multiplying everything you did by 5, I think you'd be okay. There's no law against having a heads-up display, if that's what you're asking. And now I want a heads-up display, and gosh darn it, my vehicle doesn't have it. I think it was what was it? It was a Pontiac. It was like what was it? I can't remember the name of the vehicle. Anyway, I wanted one that had it was a cool car. I was in high school, and I wanted it. Can't remember the car, but it had a heads-up display, so I think that would be cool. I don't know if it'd be cool enough to use more than once, like if I'd always use it, but the concept of having one sounds cool. Is it illegal to touch a car screen while driving? Depends. So it depends, because if you are driving and you are fiddling around with the heated seating, the air conditioning, the radio tuning, and you're weaving all over the road, well, that's not okay. But if you just simply touch it to use your car, not a problem. It's not distracted driving, although you are in some way distracted. It doesn't qualify for the laws of distracted driving. So it depends. If it's causing you a problem, it can be careless driving. If it's not causing you a problem, you're doing it safely, you just touch no different than touching a mechanical switch on your dashboard, it's legal. Using your cell phone, however, illegal, regardless of what you're doing, regardless of whether or not it is interfering with your ability to safely operate the vehicle. Now, I say regardless of what you're doing. If your phone is mounted, you can, in fact, touch it to answer or hang up. That is the limitation, the maximum you can do. Okay, question of what's the coolest thing about a police car? The wee-woo, wee-woo. Yes. I don't think that there's not that much that is there that is special and unique. I mean, it's a car. It's got lights and sirens. It's got a computer. I don't have to pay for the gas. That might be the coolest thing. Yeah, it's not my gas. It's not my insurance. It's not my tires. I drive it, and it doesn't cost me anything. In fact, they pay me to drive it. So that I don't know. I will say that there's obviously an element of cool when you use your lights and sirens for the first time, but it's overshadowed by the absolute terror of the fact that you are driving differently than everybody else and you're hoping that nobody hits you. Yeah, it is actually a stressful event. It's cool. It's a stressful event. What is the law? So yesterday or the day before was a video that said when or at what age or weight, or maybe it was height and weight, is it legal to have children in the front seat? And the answer was, we recommend that children remain in the back seat until they're 14 years old. And this is why this question is a follow-up saying, is it a law or is it a recommendation? It is, in fact, a recommendation. I thought I was clear in the video. If I wasn't, my apologies. It is a recommendation from people in the know, medical professional people, and it is based on skeletal development. Apparently, children are still growing, and even if they're big children, they are in a situation where they have not completed their growth, and they are at risk, at greater risk. Even if they're big and burly and heavier and what, it's best. They say backseat is best. That's it. That's what they say. Now, there are regulations when it comes to children under the age of 8. Well, let me go the other way. Children are required to use child safety restraints, whether it be buckets, boosters, rear facing, forward facing, or seats, and then booster seats, until the point that they are legally not required to. And that may have been what the original question was, but that's not what they asked, so I didn't get that answer. So when a child turns 8 years old, 80 pounds, or reach a height of 4'9", it's any one of those three, it becomes legal for them to sit and use a seatbelt. I will say this, although it's legal, it may not be the safest, because you could have a short 8-year-old, a tiny, small in stature 8-year-old, and that child would be better suited to remain in a booster seat longer, even though they'd legally qualify for a seatbelt, or for using a seatbelt without a booster. Likewise, you could have a very young 80-pound child. Their skeleton is not happier in a collision, even though they meet the threshold of weight. So if you go to SIPSAC, do I have a link for SIPSAC that I can put on the screen? I think I do. But can I find it? No, I can't find it. Where is it? Anyway, you know where you can go to get it? You can go to trafficcop.ca. Oh, yeah. Oh, here it is, right underneath the one I use all the time. SIPSAC, cpsac.org. But the link, of course, is on the trafficcop.ca website. And if you go there, there's a 5-point checklist of things that you can do to ensure that the child is in the appropriate height and weight to be safe in the front seat and without a seatbelt. Sorry, front seat 14, back seat until 14, outside of a booster seat, height and weight suggestion or legal requirement, and you can see if that even is worthwhile doing. Yeah, I'm trying to unpack too many things at the same time. Check it out. There's a test that basically tells you whether or not, and it deals with stuff like putting your back straight across the seat and having your legs hang over the front seat comfortably and not dangling. Like you You have crumple zones in the front seat. That's a separate thing, but you have crumple zones everywhere in the car when the car is crumpling, and you want to make sure they're in the best place possible. Okay, moving on because I've really overtalked that. Are you able to turn left at a red light if it's a one-way street? Under one condition. If the street you're already on is a one-way street. So if you're on a one-way street approaching another one-way street, then yes, in fact, you can make a left turn on a red after coming to a complete stop and ensuring that it's safe to do the turn, to make the turn, and ensuring that there's no sign prohibiting it. So it's very rare. The law allows you to make right turns on reds after making a complete stop and ensuring that it's safe to complete your turn, assuming no sign is there. But that is, from a one-way to a one-way doesn't change anything. Let's see here. Okay. A chase question. Must you be approved to be a crossing guard, or can anyone with a stop sign do it? No, you have to be employed by the as a crossing guard. Obviously, a crossing guard has some authority. If you go and stand around with a stop sign and you are just someone who likes stop signs and telling people what to do, that could be criminal. Like, it's mischief. What are you doing? It's bad. I mean, crossing guards have reference checks. They're working for the city or an agency. I don't know if they are contract. We used to run the crossing guard program. It's since been taken over by the city. I don't know exactly what's involved, but it's not simply, here's a stop sign. There's got to be some training. Can I go up to a police officer and say hi? Oddly enough, yes, you can. In fact, we welcome it. Hi is a very nice thing to do. It's kind of social and such. I'm going to move over. Now that the screens are active, I'm incredibly aware of the fact that I'm centered or not centered. But it's nice to have the screens back. It's been a while. Okay. What is the max limit in yellow line? I actually don't know what you mean. How fast can you go on a yellow line? Do you mean? No. What do you mean? Yellow lines separate direction of travel. So I don't know what you mean. Please restate your question in one that is I don't understand. Okay, moving on. If you weren't a police officer, what other jobs would you have considered, and would you still be in Toronto? I've been all over the place. I had a business in Florida prior to coming back to Toronto, which was a pause between starting it. It was actually in the midst of my career. I took 5 years off and I went off to Florida. I had a company there. I've been a real estate agent. I've been a salesperson. I've been a computer person. I've been all sorts of things. I don't know. This is what I've always wanted to do. I'm very thankful that I had the opportunity to do it and achieve my dream, my absolute dream of having been a motor officer. And I don't actually say having been. I'm still a motor officer even if I don't ride. Whether anybody else agrees with me, that's something that'll never. You'll never take it away from me. I'm a motor cop at heart. Okay. Question is, I'm turning and the car turning left. I'm turning right and the car turning left from the opposite side. Who has the right of way? So generally speaking, if you're both on a green, you making the right-hand turn has the right of way. However, you both have a responsibility to ensure that you can make your turn in safety. Thus, if you have a collision, it could be either or both of you that receive charges. It all depends on what the event is and how the officer investigating interprets what has happened. But truly right of way, you have one party who's crossing against a live lane of traffic that is traveling in opposition to theirs. So they have an additional responsibility. Okay, where to go? I'm just going to flag some more stuff. Okay, well, let's do this, and then we'll do that. And the question is, do you have to write a report every time you pull out your firearm? This is also a depends. So there's something called a use of force report. So when we point certain things or draw our firearm in front of the public, then yes. If I do it at the range, then no. That's pretty much the answer. So yes, if somebody, the member of the public saw it, then we would file a report. It's one of those things we do. We track all that stuff. However, if it's just because we're clearing a building and no one's there, no one saw it. If you're at the range, no one saw it. At least not if it's in front of other police officers. It's not a thing. Oh, okay. Someone got a ticket. I got a red light ticket in my dad's car, but I stopped in the crosswalk line, but I got flashed. Well, oddly enough, you stopped in the wrong place. If you stop in the crosswalk, you ran the light. You're required to stop before the stop line, before the sidewalk, before the crosswalk. You get what I'm going at? So you did violate the law. You'd be guilty of that. So, yeah, there's not much to say about that. He'd be responsible for the ticket. If you want to be a good child, you would go and say, but it was me and I will pay for it because you did the wrong thing. Yeah, you got to stop in the right place. That's pretty important. Let us. Can I take my grandkids for ice cream in my 1928 Model A that doesn't have seatbelts? I have often discussed this, and technically, there's a mix of situations. If your grandchildren require a child safety restraint, and we know that safety is important for them, I would suggest against it. I can't give you a definitive because the exemption for seatbelts may include that. I don't have a perfect answer for you. But based on the fact that we know how much damage can be caused in the event of a collision to a child with a developing little frame, it's a very high risk, legal or not. It's a very high risk situation. We know this now. Once upon a time, that car was transporting children. There is no seatbelt requirement in that vehicle, and I'm assuming, I'm not giving you legal advice here, I'm assuming that because it has no requirement that anyone in the vehicle could be unrestrained. I personally would put seatbelts in. Personally, that's what I would do because I feel naked if I get in a car without it. Certainly, I understand that that's a cool car, and yeah, I want to double check on it for you. If you go to trafficcop.ca and submit on the form that says email me or write to me or ask me a question, do that. Send it to me so I can respond back to you by email because I will send you an email back. And if the person who sent me an email this morning asking about the careless driving charge, they sent me an email and said, I need help with my careless driving charge. And I said, other than telling you not to drive carelessly, what would you like me to do? Because I can't give you defense advice. But they did respond and they said they're guilty. They gave a little spiel about what happened. They were charged and they're wondering if they can negotiate in court. And I explained, I haven't responded yet, but I explained in my head when I was thinking about it. What you do is if you were going to take responsibility, if you were planning on pleading guilty and your goal was to reduce the fine or ask for payment terms, that is absolutely something the courts regularly do. And you can, it's difficult times right now. Not everybody has the money to put towards an offense, even if they want to take responsibility for it. So I commend you if you are taking responsibility for it. That's great. What you would need to do is go to the court, tell them you want to plead guilty, and ask for payment terms or a reduction because of your situation, which you would explain to them, and they would either accept that or not. Tim Shallow says, good morning, happy Friday. That was asked just 10 minutes ago, so we're not that far behind. Stephen Bell wants to talk about Halloween. Oh. Okay, we got someone who got a ticket in the mail for something their son did. I wonder if it was anyone that was like earlier on the other side of the question. Okay, let's go to that. We're going to just flag in a couple. Can you get, this is a good one. Can you get DUI riding an electric scooter? How do I press charges for someone for harassment? Why are you guys adding a camera on every street? Okay. Why will you guys start pulling over the slope? Or why will you guys start okay, hang on. We'll talk about that. Can a police officer eat and drink while driving on duty? Okay. Can a police officer give high fives? I'm trying to determine whether all of these are actually legitimate. Will you ever be a motor officer again? Okay. What's the law on underglow? How long does a 7-day license suspension stay on your record? Are you allowed to leave your hitch on your vehicle if you're not towing? Okay, congrats. I'm just tagging stuff. I'm going to come back and answer them in detail. Basharat Ali says, replying to traffic services, the answer is no. I'm not sure what you're saying no to. Which one was it? But I appreciate no is a very powerful. It is a statement. It is a sentence complete. Is there a law about accelerating? We talked about it yesterday. Oh, handgun question. I love handgun questions. Okay, let's go back. So we talked about the grandkids in the thing. I've asked you to go and submit a question because I can't reach out to you because I don't know who you are. But I do want to find out the answer. Okay. With all this traffic congestion and construction, why don't police officers direct traffic? Well, sometimes we do. The city has hired and qualified special constables to be traffic wardens to direct traffic. But the biggest reason that police officers are not directing traffic is because we're out there investigating offenses and issuing tickets to people who are making the roads unsafe. Directing traffic is great, very important. We have other things to do that are more important. I appreciate that is, doesn't go with what you're going at. I get it. It would be great if we had sufficient officers. We'd need doubled, we'd have to have officers all across the city. But that is why the program that the traffic wardens are here to fulfill basically is that. It's like, if you look at the New York City police, they have New York City police officers, patrolmen and sergeants and so on. They have detectives, and then they have people with white hats that don't carry firearms that direct traffic wardens. And now we do too. All right. We got Pontiac GTO judge had huge tachometer. I don't think that's the one I was thinking of. Bonneville. I think I was thinking about a Bonneville. Was it Bonneville? I think it was a Bonneville. It looked like in the late 80s there was I think it was a Bonneville GTO. Heck, I don't know, but I'm going to Google it right now. Pontiac. Or did it have SSB, BSS, something? Pontiac, Bonneville. So 88, 89? Yeah, I think it was a Bonneville. Okay, you're going to think this is so funny, or at least you're going to think this is not a cool car. But you have to know that in the era of cars, I can't believe this is the car I liked. Okay. Yeah, so I was in high school. This guy's a tinted, no, it's not a tinted windshield. Okay, I'm going to put this on the screen. So, oh my goodness. All right. So yes, so my first car was a Pontiac. No, my first car was a Buick Park Avenue, which was very reminiscent of this car. I'm pretty sure this is the car, but this one was like a sleeper. It had, it was faster, but it had a heads-up display. So I'm pretty sure that's the car I wanted. It looked a little different. In any case, yeah, maybe not the best representation. Anyway, I like that car. Back in the day, I do not want that car now. If anyone sees that car, do not buy it for me. I do not want it. I don't think it would cost you much, like $1.25, but anyway, moving along. Do you need an M license to drive a Spider? So if we're talking about the Spider from, let's see here. What is it called? Is it Striker or Spider? Spider, YDER? Spider motorcycle. So for anyone who's trying to figure out what we are talking about here, let me put it on screen for you. Can-Am Spider. So this is the vehicle, and yes, you can ride it with an M, or you can get it with an M with a 3-wheel designation. So you get your M1 and you can learn on it. You get your M2, and if you test with your M2 and have no intention of ever riding a 2-wheel motorcycle, you can get an endorsement on success of your M2, and then that becomes your full license for 3-wheeled motorcycles. But then you cannot ride anything that is 2-wheel. Yeah, I don't remember what initial it is. If it's an MM or an MS, I don't know. Yeah, moving along. Is it against the law? Oh, do you need an M license to drive a moped? Same situation. Mopeds are low-speed motorcycles, so you can ride one with an M designation if you have an M license. A lot of people get confused. You don't have multiple licenses. You have one license with multiple designations. You could have an M for, you could have a G for car, a B which covers G, and so on and so forth. And then M is for your motorcycle. So you could have a low speed. I think it's ML, low speed, where you would, similar to the 3-wheel motorcycle, you could take your M1, be able to learn on the moped. You could then get your M2 and have a designation that you're never going to go with a high speed or 3-wheel. You'd be limited to the moped. Used to be that you could drive, I think it was pre-2007 or 8, you could drive a moped with a G-class license. That is no longer the case. You must have a motorcycle designation, regardless if it's one of the ones that's limited or not. Is it against the law to drive with your, why is it not show? Why is it against the law? What just happened here? And where'd it go? So the question was, I'm going to go back. I want to try and find it. I'm going to put up an old message so I can find it in the search listings of all the stuff. But the question was, I think, can you drive with your mirrors folded in? Yeah? Does that look like a question, or does that sound like a question that was asked? Oh, I went way too far back. Stand by. Here we go. So the question again was, is it against the law to drive with your mirrors folded in? You must be able to see the rear of your vehicle. You have to have a clear view by way of mirror. I pressed the wrong bloody button again. Here we go. And that means that if they're folded in, but your mirror hanging in the rear window gives you a clear view, technically not legal. Sorry, technically not illegal. Jeeps, if you take off your mirrors, is it illegal? As long as you have a clear view to the rear by a mirror. If you fold it in, it's silly. It's not advisable, but it's not a specifically illegal thing. Why on earth would you even want? Like, why? Did you get a ticket for it? Like, I don't know what the ticket would be, but why? Why would anyone do that on purpose? Like, you forgot, maybe, but on purpose, silly. And the wind resistance of your mirrors is I would presume insignificant, and thus silly. Okay, moving on. 4 more days until Halloween's. Kids will be out, stay safe at night. Stay safe out every night. There's lots of pedestrians, people out exercising, running, jogging, rollerblading, skateboarding. Be safe out there every night. Now, of course, there will be a lot of people out during Halloween, and I'll be going and speaking to media on Tuesday, reminding parents to keep their kids safe and whatnot. But the deal is that most costumes are going to be very bright and colorful. There's always the reminder, that masks conceal or interrupt your peripheral vision. So be cautious about that. Flashlights in hand are a really good way to be seen. Reflective clothing or armbands are a really great way to be seen. They used to be given away. Daylight savings is coming, which means it's going to be darker earlier, and we're already seeing it get darker earlier. So just be aware, slow down, pay attention. There's the one night of the year, actually every night of the year, slow down, but that's a night of the year where kids in particular will be out at risk. So parents, please keep your kids close, and drivers, please slow down, pay attention, put the phone in your trunk. If you break the law every other day, okay, you may or may not get caught. But if you hurt somebody because of it, there's no undo button. So please do everything. That's the day to be absolutely 100%. Even if you break the law every other day, that we'll play the game. I'll catch you one day, you won't the next day. It's always illegal. What I'm trying to say is don't hurt kids. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not endorsing using your phone. Okay, got a speed ticket. Well, what's this? Someone wants to know what my favorite candy is. We'll get to that in 1 second. Got a speeding ticket by mail while my son was driving my car. Am I responsible for that? Yes. You're the registered owner of the motor vehicle. They got a ticket from an automated enforcement camera. That charge is under the HTA, but specifically written to the registered owner of the vehicle, owner responsibility ticket. There are no demerit points, so while your child will not understand because they didn't get the pull over the side of the road, hopefully you can educate them about what they have to do and how they can repay you for the cost. But it doesn't affect you negatively other than make your child pay the ticket so they remember. The lesson should be for them. Or if you want to take the lesson as maybe they shouldn't drive the car. That's up to you. Can you get a DUI driving an electric scooter? What kind of electric scooter? E-bike? E-motorcycle-ish kind of thing? E-kick scooter? Yeah, you can. E-skateboard? Yeah. E-anything. If it is a motor vehicle and under the criminal code, and a motor vehicle is anything propelled by anything other than muscular power, is a motor vehicle, thus you are eligible for impaired operation offenses. So yeah, you can. How do I press charges on someone for harassment? Well, first I would start with calling or attending a police station and speaking to an investigator about the events, making a report, and that would be the starting point to ensure that there is, in fact, criminality there. Now, you may feel harassed, but it may or may not have crossed the line of criminal harassment. That's where you may get some advice and make a report. At very least, make a report. Regardless if charges are laid, make a report, because things of this nature tend to escalate. They tend to get worse, and people tend to put off making that report. So if you have been dealing with this for a year and you wait another year until you make the report, your paper trail starts when you started. You can say it's been happening for years, but there's nothing to substantiate that other than your word. You make a report and you say it's been happening. That's your starting point of paper. And I think that adds a lot of, I think it's important. Now, I don't investigate that sort of stuff in my current capacity. I've always been traffic minded, but there are officers standing by. Those officers available. This is serious stuff. It's certainly harassment, especially if it could escalate to somewhere where you can get hurt, aside from annoyed. Yeah, call police. Okay. Why are you guys adding cameras on every street? You guys, we're not you guys. You guys, when it comes to adding cameras, are actually the cities, municipalities, the government, not the police. We issue tickets ourselves. The cameras issue them on behalf of the city. I think it's great. I was just talking about this with my boss. I know some people don't like automated enforcement cameras because they catch them doing things that are against the law. I think it's fantastic. I think every street everywhere should have cameras, and people should not break the law. I've not read the articles or been briefed, but I understand it's like doubling the current number of cameras. Hey, don't want to pay for the fine? Don't do the crime. And it is against the law. Thus, if you are being asked to pay for a ticket, is because you or someone that you have lent your vehicle to has chosen to throw caution to the air and break the law because they just don't care. Let's see here. Of course, it's easy not to care when it's not your car and not your responsibility, right? It's always best to get to charge people directly with a police officer, but the police are being stretched thin. We have fewer people on the road than we'd like because we've got people who are on the road doing stuff and things. They can't do as many other stuff and things, so we have different stuff and things, different priorities. And the guy paddling in the water, really pathetic looking. Okay, moving on. When will you guys start pulling over the slow drivers in the fast lane, holding up traffic? What is this traffic that you speak of? Is it people who are driving the speed limit in the fast lane? What is the fast lane? Are you allowed to speed? No. Now, here's the deal. Slowly moving traffic, I always say, stay to the right. Why? Because you have boneheads who want to speed, and they are going to be up your rear end, honking, flashing, and bullying you because speeders are bullies. There's no place in the road for bullies. They shouldn't be driving. In fact, that's why we give tickets to people, is to take their licenses away because they're being dangerous to other people. Speed kills, don't speed. Now, if you're talking about you are trying to do 100 and they're doing 80 or 70 or 60 in the left lane, I totally feel you. That's not okay. Those people absolutely need to be over to the side. In fact, if they're doing 60, I'm probably going to be having a discussion as to why they are interfering with traffic and likely charge them for unnecessary slow driving. But there could be justification for slow driving, like snowy, slippery conditions, gravel, something on the road in front of them causing them to slow down. But the way that you asked the question about holding up traffic suggests to me that you may be trying to go faster than the speed limit. Can an officer eat and drink while driving on duty? There is no specific law that specifies police officers shall not eat or drink on duty. However, they're, of course, governed by everything else. In that they have to be able to have, their responsibility is a safe operation of the vehicle. So if they're having a sip of a cup of coffee while they're driving or getting 20 seconds in between calls because they're so backed up that they're running from call to help people in the community, and they decide to take a sandwich bite while not taking a lunch, while not taking a break, it's not illegal. But they do need to eat. They're working 11, 12-hour shifts. Maybe they get an arrest and they're stuck for 14, 15. Maybe there's no relieving staff. They're there for a long time. they need to eat. Is it safe? If it's not negatively impacting their driving, similarly, if it's not impacting your driving, if you have a bite of a donut or coffee, or don't bite the coffee, that could be weird. But yeah, if you're ingesting something, now bowl of cereal, I've seen people eating a bowl of cereal. No hands on wheel, that is a very clear careless driving charge. Can police give high fives? Yeah, oddly enough, high fives are permissible. It is a voluntary thing, and it must be offered and accepted. It can be turned down. We can leave you hanging too. It's not always appropriate. Obviously, if we have a job to do or we're focused on security or dealing with an arrest, maybe not the best time for a high five. And you would probably be best to ask them prior to rushing them for that high five, because you might find yourself lying on the ground, as it could be conceived as assaultive behavior. Just saying, you never know. Just be smart about it. Ask, be friendly, develop a conversation and a relationship before high-fiving. High-fiving strangers is kind of odd. Mind you, sometimes there's a win. I imagine we were high-fiving everybody at the win of the World Series or other things. Michael L. wants to know if I will ever be a motor squad officer again. I certainly hope so. I would love to get back on a bike and ride and get paid to ride, and what a great thing that would be. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm having fun doing what I'm doing, and I think I'm making a valuable contribution to the safety and education of people on the road, and this matters. So I'm not unhappy doing what I'm doing, but motorcycle mix would be good. We'll see what happens. What's the law on underglow? The law on underglow is this. Well, it's actually not. There's no law on underglow. There are other laws that underglow encroaches on, like you can't project anything other than white or yellow forward. You can't project anything other than red or yellow rearward. So if you incorrectly, or depending on how you install your underglow, you might be looking at headlight or taillight or other light issues. If it's flashing, if it's strobing, if it's so many potentials. So it depends. If you're emitting colors that are prohibited, it could be an issue. Ultimately, and this is where in Sergeant Campbell, if you watch Monday or Tuesday's episode, we were talking about this because we don't see eye to eye on it. Law is something that we interpret. There's no absolute, without discussion, interpretation. We pretty much all disagree a lot, and that's what makes law wonderful. So I believe that if the bulb is not directly projecting outward, for the most part, I think you're okay. If it's bouncing off the road and you're getting a reflected dim light under 300 candela, I think you're okay for the most part. However, Dr. Sergeant Campbell says if he can see the light in front of you, you are projecting it forward unless you're eligible for a ticket. I wouldn't give the ticket, they would. Depends on the officer. Here's what I can guarantee you, is you run a better chance of not being pulled over for underglow if your underglow is turned off. Yeah, when you're pulled over in a parking lot and you're hanging out, great time to have underglow. Does not enter the realm of possibility for getting a ticket. If you're driving around, there's no reason to have it. You can't even see it. So, why have it? How long does a 7-day suspension stay on your record? Well, that depends, my friend, because I can see everything since the day before, actually the day you get registered. But in fact, if you had any consequences or offenses prior to being licensed, I would see that too. So if you borrowed mom's car to get milk while she was sleeping, or really it was candy, because what kid actually says I need cereal at 2 a.m, but I could see them, needing a candy bar. So you take your vehicle, you're unlicensed, but you're pretty brave and you get caught. That's going to be on your license for life. Police and government can see it for life, your permanent abstract. When it comes to insurance, however, they only see the last 3 years. So your current record only stays in, actually, I take that back. It's a suspension. They see convictions, not suspensions, but we would see it forever. Yeah, insurance doesn't see it. So it depends on who you're seeing, who you're talking about. Are you allowed to leave your hitch on your vehicle even if you're not using it? Yes, you can. There's no law preventing it. However, it could protect or damage your car. It is unknown. It will help transfer the impact of a collision to your frame that would have normally been absorbed by your bumper, which is designed to absorb impact. Frames, oddly enough, can bend. So it may or may not work to your favor. But is it illegal? No. Congrats to the Toronto Police Service for the recent auto theft investigation. I haven't read in detail the article, but I think it's 1,000 vehicles that were recovered. It's pretty awesome. And then there is a question about laws on accelerating too fast. Oh, too fast from a stop. Not accelerating too fast. Anyway. I was not an English major, but some things stand out to me. I'm very literal when I read literally. Okay. So, what's the question? So the question is, or the answer is, if you're accelerating to the speed limit and you are racing the person beside you, or it is interpreted that you are racing the person beside you, yeah, you could be charged for stunt driving. You could be charged for careless driving, potentially dangerous driving. You know, if it was, it really depends on the interpretations of the officer. It's not black and white. It's not 100% like, yeah, if you accelerate at a velocity of more than 3 feet per, no, there's nothing like that. Yeah. But, you know, if you squeal your tires, stunt driving. Take away your car for 14 days, take your license for 30. If you make a lot of noise doing it, you know, taking off like that, that's unnecessary noise. That's $110 ticket. There's a whole bunch of different charges that you could qualify for. Would you get necessarily charged? Depends. Let's see here. Somebody wants to know about firecrackers for Diwali. Boom, boom, boom. Scrolling back. It is 9 minutes to 12. Hey, look at that. I'm in sync with my wife. Who would have thought? She just sent me a text saying 10 more minutes. So in 10 minutes, no new questions. And then I will, as quickly as possible, try and wrap up the show because, well, it'll be 12 and the show will be wrapped. Let's see here. So yeah, that's my story. 10 more minutes. And then we'll be back. We'll be back on, I saw that, by the way, Dan. Did I say Dan or Don? Don Joseph. My apologies. Yes, I saw some messages and then I tried to read them and I couldn't read them. So no issues. This is the place to do it. It is actually the preferred platform. You come over to YouTube or Facebook or any of the platforms. Instagram, I don't even. I'm annoyed with Instagram, frankly. I can do this nice widescreen everywhere, even TikTok, but Instagram, no. Anyway, I will gripe after the show and jump up and down and have a temper tantrum. It just bugs me. What are the steps to become a cop? We can certainly talk about that briefly. I say briefly because I'm going to point you in the direction for some information, and it's going to come in the form of a link, and it's going to be on the screen right now. But yeah, you go to tps.ca/careers, and you can get all the information you ever wanted to know about becoming a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and that's the deal. That's the first steps. Find out what the qualifications are, which is what you'd find on the website, and then work to meet those qualifications. I would say meet or exceed. Exceeding them is better. You want to be the best candidate that you can. One of those things that is either literally or directly stated is be committed to the community you want to protect. Go volunteer. Show that you care about helping people because that's what this job is all about. So if you don't have volunteer experience, get some. Question about LED lights. And then how to get a security guard license. Okay. Why do we have so many high beam lights at nights? I almost crashed sometimes. Okay, well, the LED and high beam lights are sort of one of the same question, I think. Driving with AirPods, we can talk about that briefly. What happened there? Oh, I hate this. Okay, here we go. Bugs me. Oh. Someone wants to know about key scratches on keys. What's the law broken on exhaust? Hang on a second here. Scrolling back as I try and find my place. Whenever a new question comes in, it throws things off. AirPods, there we go. Until I flag things and go to a different window. What's your opinion on tint? I have an opinion and I have the law. Okay. Can I volunteer specifically for monitoring high beam light headlight tints? Okay, hang on. Almost there. Cell phone. Can I get a cell phone ticket for picking up my phone just to turn it off? Mm-hmm. Can I get a DUI on a horse? Of course not. No, that's not a motor vehicle. It's muscular power, even though it's not your muscles. I say that, and then maybe I'm wrong. I've never pulled over a horse. I don't think you can. Boom, boom, boom. Just got a G1. Okay. Do I need to register my car again after getting a wrap? Yes. Yes, you do, actually. The question is, if I get it wrapped a different color, Do you need to update it? You actually do. You have 6 days. All right. I got 20 questions. It'll take us to the rest of the show. No questions. And let's get into it. So please talk about firecrackers. This is a bylaw situation. I don't have any firecracker experience. Some places have banned them. If you're there and they've been banned, don't use them because you're going to get charged. Police warned about it last year. I have no direct experience with this. I've never laid a charge or investigated firecrackers, but having been someone who reads the news, I remember this coming out. So make sure that you're legally permitted to in the jurisdiction that you're in, or you may face charges. I'm driving my scooter at 30 kilometers an hour on a road. Is it possible to get a ticket? So is it a kick scooter, e-kick scooter? Then that's a problem. E-bike, it's not a problem because e-bikes are allowed to travel up to 32 kilometers an hour and still remain status of being an e-bike. And if it's and an e-bike is treated as a bicycle and there's no speed limit on a bicycle, or at least not enforceable unless you're in a city park, which is a 20 kilometer an hour speed limit. So it depends there. Even if you're rollerblading, you can't rollerblade faster than 20 kilometers an hour legally in a Toronto park, by law. If you're talking about an e-kick scooter, they're limited to 24 kilometers an hour. If you're doing 30 kilometers an hour, that is now a motor vehicle and subject to motorcycle insurance laws and so on. I say motorcycles. We'll just say motor vehicles. People argue that it's not a motorcycle. I don't want to argue anymore. It's a motor vehicle, needs license, ownership, and insurance. So if you're doing 30 kilometers an hour and I get you on radar, that is proof positive that it is a motor vehicle and you are eligible for a ticket for no insurance, $5,000 to $25,000 up to 6 months in jail, no license. If you aren't licensed, you get no license. Not safety, improper brakes. We could sit there for a week, I imagine, and write you every ticket under the sun, if that's what you're talking about. Not to mention if you're in the city of Toronto where they are absolutely banned, even if they go under 24 kilometers an hour, you'd be looking at a $110 ticket for violating the bylaw. Okay. Why are LED headlights legal? They are blinding and dangerous. Not all of them are illegal, but the misaligned ones are because they're misaligned. So, but LED are not in particularly or not blanket statement illegal. And they're not because they provide good, clear light. But if they're misdirected, they're in your eyes, and that's bad. How to get a security guard license in Ontario? I don't know. It's been like 30 years since I've been licensed as a security guard. Used to be the OPP who managed it when I was a young person. You had to be, at the time, employed by a security guard or private investigator company. Now it's different, and I don't know what the answer is because I have nothing to do with that. Why do we have so many height beam lights in nights? I almost crashed. I don't exactly know. Joseph, what's going on? He's here. He's here. Where is he? Where's Joseph? Hey, Joseph. I just saw him. And Tracy, hi. I didn't mean to ignore you earlier. So many friends. Okay. So the question is, high beam lights and nights. We have people who don't use the appropriate lights. They can be charged. Why do we have so many? Because people don't pay attention. And truthfully, in most vehicles, your daytime running lights, because they never turned on their lights at all, their daytime running lights are actually a low-powered high beam, meaning they're misdirected higher, and they're probably blinding you. So yeah, improper headlights, definitely charges we like to lay. Also a great way to identify impaired drivers. Funny, but true. If someone scratches your car with keys, what can be done to prevent it? Don't park where horrible people with keys are. I don't know. How do you prevent people from accidentally scratching? Park far away from them. How do you prevent people from intentionally, charge of mischief for scratching? This is a weird question for me because I've never been asked it. I park way the hell away from everybody else. If someone, what law is broken on exhaust? It depends on what law is broken on exhaust. If you have no exhaust, it's driving without an exhaust, unnecessary noise. If it's a damaged or modified muffler, it's an improper exhaust. If it's being chopped and no exhaust, like it's against the law not to have an exhaust, like a muffler and resonator. It comes to men, we have not spoken. This used to be like 7 questions per episode. It's weird that it's only 1 today, and only the 1 this week. I don't think we've talked about exhaust at all. Let's see here. Oh. To Do I have to fit my entire vehicle past the post to be legally parked? What if there's not enough space? Then you don't park there. If your vehicle is larger than the space available, there is no space available, and you cannot park there, because if you're past the post where the no parking is, you are illegally parked. Now, the officer who's investigating might say, it's only an inch, it's only 2 inches, only 8 inches, only a foot. That's going to be up to them. But you are violating the law if you're past that post in any way, shape, or form, is my understanding. Can you drive with AirPods or earphones? Sorry, is driving with AirPods or earphones illegal? I see a lot of people doing it. No, it is not illegal. In the province of Ontario, other provinces may have different rules. Here, it is not against the law. Some provinces allow one ear, but not both ears. Here, it is permissible to wear earpods or earphones over both ears. In fact, you don't even need to be able to hear. You can be deaf and still operate a motor vehicle safely. In fact, many people do. What's your opinion on tint? I will never not have it on my vehicles and excessive speeding. So you both want excessive. So you're saying with your double negative, you will always excessively speed and have tint on your vehicle? Am I reading that right? Okay. Yeah. Oh, I'm told that was an error question. Moving on. Here's the correct. What's your opinion on tint? I will never. What? Oh, okay. I get the happy face. What's your opinion on tint? I will never not have it on my vehicle up to at least 20%. If you mean 20% tint, meaning that 80% of the light gets through, that's perfectly legal. You are allowed to have, for safety certification, up to 30%. I will warn you that if you have 30%, it may actually be added to the, it would be if you put tint over factory tint, you'd have more than the put. Like people buy a box and say, 20%, but they had 10% of the windows, you have 30%. Now, 30% is legal for safety certification, but if you're out in the dark and there's no light anywhere and we can't see inside, you could end up getting ticketed because of atmospheric conditions. So that's a thing. 70% of the light has to get through. No tint on your windshield. The windows behind the driver can be as dark as you want, but the windows left and right of the driver are limited to 30%. Okay. What is this? Can I volunteer for monitoring high beams? Did I read that right? High beam light, illegal tint, and excessive speeding. Sadly, you can't do enforcement unless you're a police officer, but you can volunteer as an auxiliary officer. We're actually hiring auxiliary officers. It's going to be a class next year. So if you are interested in becoming one, I will very, 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 very quickly put it on screen, www.tps.ca/careers. You go there, you scroll down, you go to volunteer youth programs, and you can volunteer for the auxiliary program. Again, next year is going to be the class, and it's a fantastic, fantastic program. I was a member for 12 years. I totally, totally endorse it. Greatest way to contribute to your city outside of becoming a paid member of the service. And what we do as auxiliaries, or I used to do, is we'd go out with a radar gun or a laser speed measuring device, and we would go and monitor areas. We couldn't lay charges. We would take notes. We would do a survey, essentially. Here's ABC 123 was doing 20 over. ABC 245 was doing 5 over. We would go give that back, and the police officers could then determine if they needed more attention for that area or if they needed to go and speak to the drivers that we had recorded. But we don't actually write tickets as auxiliaries. So that is the answer to that question. Can I get a cell phone ticket for simply picking up the phone just to turn it off because the screen was on? Yeah, technically you can. Because you're holding it, we see you holding it, the screen is active or not active for that matter, but we saw you doing that, and that is enough to have a ticket issued and convicted. If it's just on and you're not touching it, leave it alone. Put a jacket on it or something. I just passed my G1 and I have a driver's license with 10 years experience in a different country. When can I take my G? That is entirely up to the Ministry of Transportation. Now, if you applied for your G1 without telling them about your 10 years experience, you may have made a mistake, and you should go back and explain to them. What country did you get your previous experience? Because some countries get credit and others don't. Some countries will get you an express pass to your G2. You may still have to take your G1, G2, and G, but you can do it faster. If you have not told them about your previous experience or they have not told you about any kind of acceleration, you may be on a regular track, meaning you don't get any acceleration. So I would go back to them, make sure they understood that you had experience, show them your driver's license, and explain to them that. You can also go to trafficcop.ca. At the bottom, there is explanations for people who are new to Ontario and you can actually see all the countries and what the systems are for giving you essentially accelerated service. Like if you're coming in from the United States, it's a straight trade. There is no G2 or G. You just give them the license. We give you a license. Here is here. This is the trafficcop.ca. Scroll down to the bottom, useful links, and then when you get to the bottom, new residents and visitors driving in Canada, and of course, I'm going to press this button. It's going to open up a new. Oh, here we go. Of course, it's going to do this. Why doesn't it just link? Why does it have to do a new link? All right. So then there's this page, and it will explain to you about everything, and maybe your country of origin will give you status, and maybe it won't. But that's definitely a conversation to have. Why do I need to register my car after getting a wrap that's a different color for my car? Or sorry, do I need to? Yes, you do. 6 days. We talked about it either. Last question of the day. Can a cop give a ticket if they admit they have no proof and come to my house for driving without a license when I was home? That's a lot to unpack, Cole. Why would they give you a license? Why would they give you a ticket if they have no proof that you were driving? I don't know. They are making an allegation when they lay charges. They have to have some evidence to support that. They can't just walk up to you and say, "Hi, Cole, here's a ticket for something I have no idea if you did it." That doesn't make a lot of sense. So I would say that if they didn't believe that you had committed an offense, they wouldn't lay the charge. What proof? Yeah, I don't know what proof they have their. I want to know more. Tell me more. All right, let us see. Did anything magical show up in the chat while I was in the other window? Hey, it's Evandro. Scrolling back. It's noon. Hang on a second here. We covered that. We covered this. Akela says, stay safe and remember, don't have a good day. Have a great weekend. I support that entirely. To get a security license, search online for a company that can provide training and pay the fee. That's what the advice is from Michael. A dad joke from Zombie, and I was really hoping you'd have one, so I'm so thankful that you do. We will do that in 1 second. Tis no longer morrow. Enjoy the weekend, everyone, from Chase. Let's see here. I'm going to read your dad joke after my calendar dad joke because yours is likely going to be better. Did I read this one yesterday? I heard on the news that Finland is closing its borders. No one can cross the finish line. Finland, finish. What's the scariest plant in the forest? The bamboo. Or is it bamboo? I don't know. Do we do the Saturday, Sunday ones now, or do we wait until Monday to do the Saturday, Sunday ones? I'm actually looking for an answer. No opinion? Okay. Is it good? Maybe I'll read it now. Let's do it now. It's important to keep some candy in your pocket at all times. You never know if it could be a lifesaver. Do they even sell lifesavers anymore? Hang on, I want to mess up the other joke. Do they even sell lifesavers anymore? Like the candy? I don't know if I've seen that. Are they out of business? Yeah. When do hamburgers most enjoy watching TV? During prime time. That kind of sucks. Okay. That's the weekend jokes. There's the one. Let's go to the one from Dad Joke from Zombie. To whoever stole my tennis racket, I'll see you in court. Justice will be served. I get it. Actually, I like it. But I saw you had another comment, so I was distracted by the potential of finding this one. It is love. It's good. It's a good joke. I like it. Justice will be served. Get served. Or is it served? Okay. That is it. That is all. Have a wonderful weekend. Drive safely. Park legally. Just be good out there. Be good to yourself. Have fun. Life is short. Enjoy it. So with that, I will play the Song of Songs. But yeah, we'll be back on Monday, and we'll be back at 10 a.m. So I hope everyone has a great weekend. See you then.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed, and watch your driving. Don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
Really? How about now? Can we hear me now? How about now? Okay, good. So I'm glad. I was saying I really love that song. I never get tired of that song. I hope everyone has a great weekend. This is all repeating all the stuff that I was obviously muted for. And then, the one thing I always do on Fridays is talk about what my partner Scott Matthews does on Mondays, and he posts how many people were charged for impaired operation over the last weekend. So 11 people got arrested last weekend because for something related to impaired operation, and I'm always amazed at the tidbits. Should I say the tidbits now? No, I'll leave you for the tidbits in the video that I'm going to produce and post very, very shortly. So, wonderful weekend. Stay safe, sober, at least while driving. And that's it. Have a good one.